Things are heating up for the King of Fighters community. KOF 15 has entered the main stage at notable fighting game majors like Combo Breaker and DreamHack, and with CEO and EVO on the way, international competition is only going to get spicier. Recently, Event Hubs did a character breakdown for the top 64 players for King of Fighters 15 at Combo Breaker 2022. But there were a couple of problems. One, the list was reported before the event actually concluded, and two, as pointed out by some of my friends who attended this event, some of which were in this top 64, have pointed out that some of the character listings in here are actually wrong. So after reviewing all the live stream footage for KOF 15 and asking some of the top placers directly on Twitter, here's what I've discovered about some of the characters who have dominated KOF 15 at Combo Breaker 2022. Hopefully this serves as a guide for the direction that KOF 15 is taking after its first major patch. If you appreciate the work that I put into this study, make sure to like this video and also subscribe for more analyses like it. A quick disclaimer before we get into things, I'm merely reporting on the trends that I've noticed just looking at all of the character pools that were played at this event. This is not a tier list and does not necessarily reflect the given strength of the characters played in this tournament. It should also be noted that not every player who made top 64 Combo Breaker 2022 made it on stream, nor did I have an easy way of contacting some of these individuals. So there are a select few players on the lower end of this top 64 whose characters can be confirmed with less certainty, and thus their characters were left intentionally marked as unknown for the purposes of this study. That's a lot to throw at you all at once, but let's get started. Here's the chart that shows how many times a specific character has shown up in a player's character pool. Rock led the charge at Combo Breaker 2022 with at least 15 documented appearances, followed closely by Elizabeth with at least 13 appearances in this top 64. The remainder of the top 5, Gato, Cronin, and Robert, are each tied with 9 distinct appearances in this section of the bracket. The top 5 most used characters make up roughly 30% of the individual character appearances documented. There were at least 17 teams in this top 64 that did not use any of these 5 characters. One of these teams made it into top 8. That means at least 60.9% of the players in this top 64 had either a Rock, Robert, Gato, Cronin, or Elizabeth in their personal character roster. Shifting over to the other end of this list, Antonov, Chris, Leona, and Omega Rugal each had one singular appearance in this entire top 64. However, they're not the least used characters in this roster. Based on my analysis, there were no Billy, Hydern, Maxima, Ramon, or Shune players in this Combo Breaker top 64. These stats give a rough idea of not only the popularity of each character, but also how they're perceived by the top KOF 15 players as of right now. Some pre-patch favorites like Vanessa and Ralph, while still fairly solid, are hovering more towards the lower end of the usage stats, staying roughly around the lower third of this top 64. Meanwhile, Elizabeth, Gato, and Terry are still hovering around the top 10 of the characters used in tournament play. I also wanted to take note of some common pairings and teams. King of Fighters is a non-traditional team-based fighting game. Whereas games like Dragon Ball FighterZ and Marvel vs. Capcom 3 have you picking characters for matchup coverage and team synergy with assists, most KOF games remove that assist component of character selection in favor of prioritizing matchup coverage and meter management when selecting characters for your team. By taking a look at some of the common pairings, we can take a guess at what tools that players prefer to have at their disposal, as well as what characters tend to cover each other's weaknesses. Looking at the top 5 most used characters, the most common pairing at Combo Breaker 2022 was Gato and Cronin, appearing across 5 different players. These 5 players were Reynald, SesaMX, Necro-Undyne, El Rosa, and Aru. The second most common pairing is actually a tie between Rock with Iori and Rock with Kyo. Both pairings appeared 4 times each in this bracket. This led to one of the most common team compositions of this event, Rock, Kyo, Iori, which was used by Violent Kane, Dente, and Mexican. Elizabeth's most common pairing was with Athena, who appeared on the teams of Arslan Ash, Punk, and Brightside. And last, we have Robert's pairings with Athena, Rock, and Elizabeth, which each appeared twice at Combo Breaker 2022. Overall, it was interesting to see the character distribution level out since the launch of King of Fighters 15. After seeing the game dominated by the likes of Vanessa, Ralph, Terry, Gato, and Elizabeth, it's refreshing to see such a wide variety of characters being played at the highest level. This video did take a long time to prepare, so if you appreciated it and want to see more analyses on KOF 15 and watch me break down this data in a little bit more detail than I did in this segment, then make sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment below letting me know what you think. If you want to know what it takes to fight some of the best KOF players in the world, then check out this video I did with Genesis DC, who placed 17th at this Combo Breaker for KOF 15. Thank you all for watching. I've been ShaolinPretzels, and as always, stay salty.